Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another Insights Time webinar. I'm Rich Beresford from Giant Finance Plus, here with Mike Boswell, as ever. I think it's been about 6 weeks since we did one of these, Mike. Yeah, it's been a busy old 6 weeks or so, bringing on new recruitment businesses for invoice finance facilities, doing our day job. But also we've been out and about quite a lot to some conferences. We're kind of getting to that summer slowdown really of events now, aren't we? So we just thought we'd touch on a few things that we've been up to over the last 6 weeks or so. One of which was the NACFAB conference, Mike, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went to the NACFAB. That's the National Association of Commercial Finance Brokers. And for those that have linked in with me, you'll see that I've actually worked in finance for like more years than I care to mention, nearly 40 years. And never ceased to amaze me, the amount of new lenders are out there, the amount of different sources of funding, etc. So I think the only thing that is pertinent to the audience on here is if you're looking for funding to help either set up or expand your business, there's many different sorts of finance out there. Obviously, we're one option, but you're probably worthwhile engaging with a good broker to find out exactly what's out there, because there's a lot of money out there trying to find a home at the moment. So your bank, going too long to your bank manager and just getting a bank overdraft, that's a long time gone. There are a lot of options out there. So if one of the things which is stopping you from either expanding or getting going yourself even is worry about finance, there's a lot of options out there. So I'll just highlight that to everyone.
Yeah, we work with a lot of brokers, don't we, Mike, ourselves? And while we're happy to be contacted directly, we would love to speak to you. We also get a lot of brokers passing suitable businesses our way, which is, like you say, it seems to be the sort of the way of doing these things now. So yeah, always worth dropping in. I went to that a couple of years ago. And yes, it's always a really good event. So always good to get to. The other main event we've been over the last few weeks was the team conference as well, and that was last Friday down in Windsor. It was a great event. So yeah, I mean, thanks to team and the organisers there for hosting that. We were both there. Lots of really good speakers. Lots of seminars. And it's kind of a bit of a, like I said, an end of year kind of get together. Some would say knees up, I guess. But it's just a chance for everybody to network and catch up. We've been suppliers to team for a few months now, I think, so not too long. So we were just sort of getting a flavour of it and what it's all about. I've got to say it's a fantastic little organisation, and it's I guess really historically aimed at the smaller kind of recruiters, but I know that they're looking to expand. So yeah, we're really pleased to be suppliers to team, and some of the seminars we went to were really informative. With some great speakers, lots of knowledge in the room. And the first one that we both attended, Mike, I think the first seminar was with our friend Howard from Jump Advisory. Howard and Paul were talking about one of their clients and how they help them develop and grow as a business. And there's some really interesting stuff there from those guys. So that was great to attend. Mike, I know you were sort of you went to one about future trends as well. What the future looks like, I guess, for recruitment.
I definitely use it just to make sure I can get into the heads of what's going on, into the update myself in what's going on in the recruitment market. It was a good 20-minute session, and there's just a few salient points that I pulled out, so we'll just quickly run through them. So they say it's a fairly soft market, shortage of candidates. Everyone knows that's the issue, but I mean, they reckon there's about 2 million vacancies out there at the moment that are advertised, but that probably comes down to 1 million when you take out the duplicates, and there's a bit more perm kicking around. So I don't know whether that's is how you're finding the market yourselves. But again, a lot about some clients' habits are changing. There's evidence. There's a few people that are trying to do the recruitment for themselves. I mean, obviously this will be a bit more on the perm side, but so you need to be good. They're saying you need to be niched, and the 80% candidate is dead. And what they mean by the 80% candidate is that, you know, if the person's just about right, then, you know, they'll probably get employed, or someone will take them on and take a punt. They're finding that the marketplace at the moment, people really want an absolute match, so 100% candidate. So I think, you know, the message very firmly was buying habits and the market's changing. Are you, as an agency, you know, responding to that and keeping up? Because doing the same old thing at the moment, you know, probably won't stand you in very good stead.
Yeah.
They then moved on to sort of a bit more market stuff. IR35 and really comes under the big compliance umbrella, which is basically, and I use the word umbrella, a bit of a pun there, but yeah, basically do it right, okay? Because if you're found not doing things compliantly at the moment, quote unquote, HMRC are becoming aggressive in capital A and in quotation marks. So the definitely the leniency that we may have seen going through COVID, etc., that's definitely changed. You know, it's coming back that, you know, if you're doing something wrong and you're found out, you will be made to pay and bang to rights.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with one of the other talks that I was at as well at the conference, and it was about kind of future-proofing your business, and perhaps if you're looking to exit in the next 18 to 24 months, and what you should be doing now to make that happen. A really interesting stat was that only, I think it was less than 1% of recruitment businesses actually get sold and acquired, which surprised me. You know, you read about it a lot, you hear about businesses looking to exit and to sell, when in actual fact, it's a really small minority that actually get to that point. And I think a lot of it is about creating the value within your business, and, you know, trying to increase your multiplier to make it worth something to somebody else. And that's about the people within the business. It's about the processes. It's about the, you know, the value add you've got for your employees. And I guess whether the business still stands and works if you step away as a director, or the board of directors steps away, because what an investor and someone looking to acquire a business wants is, I guess, to be able to streamline the costs, to make it fit, but also that when the previous owners ultimately and inevitably step away, that the business still functions and the processes in place are robust enough to stand on their own 2 feet, as it were. But one of the key points to that is make sure that your sort of compliance history is strong, and that any sort of skeletons in the closet, as it were, have been addressed. So if you're currently, you know, if you don't quite know how your candidates are getting paid, and whether this, you know, some of your umbrella companies or your payroll or your clients further up the supply chain are doing things compliantly, now is the time to check and make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row, because come 6, 12, 18 months time, if you do want to look at exiting, then you can be sure that whoever comes in is going to be reviewing that, you know, all the way back in your sort of books, to make sure that everything's been done correctly. So yeah, some really interesting stuff there. And that kind of also tied into another talk that I was at about the challenges of starting up. So I guess it's about doing things the right way first and foremost. Speak to experts was one of the key phrases that cropped up in that. You know, I'd like to think we can include ourselves in that, Mike, experts in invoice finance and back office. Go out and speak to the market, make sure you've done your research, know who it is you need to know, as it were, so that they can provide you with that advice. You don't need to go and sign up for, you know, expensive systems and long-term contracts. You know, it's really easy to get into recruitment and set up a business, but make sure you've done your due diligence from the top. I think that's really important, isn't it?
Absolutely, and along with sort of keeping abreast of the market, it was highlighted again at the team conference that future trends about, you know, it looks like there's going to be some legislation coming out about pay transparency. So, you know, mainly again on perms, but, you know, you may need to be publishing exactly what the pay ranges are, you know, so that it all becomes transparent. Also, rolled up holiday pay. There could be an assistance that it does go through to rolled up. So, you know, if you're making 4 or 5% of your margin on your agency each year by holiday pay from people who've, you know, obviously have just done a short amount of work and then not claiming it, etc., watch out, because that could be disappearing. So you need to look at your margins, etc., and make sure you can survive that. Another interesting one, and it links back into the shortage of candidates. There was quite a discussion around young people entering the market at the current point in time. And you need to be conscious, and they said you need to be conscious or need to be aware that a lot of the people that, you know, were sort of coming out of school just as COVID was breaking, etc., they haven't had the coffee jobs, they haven't had the holiday jobs, etc. So, you know, they will need quite a bit more hand-holding and help than a lot of other people. You know, they won't have the social skills honed from working in the coffee shop or, you know, a bar job, etc. They won't, you know, they may be a little bit poor socially. Not to say they're a bad person, obviously, but just basically just be conscious. You know, they will need a little bit of help, you know, especially in prepping to go to an interview, because, you know, if they haven't been doing that sort of stuff, an interview, you know, they may well be very, very nervous. So, you know, you've got to make sure you help that sort of generation out.
Yeah, and that's also true of people coming into an office for the first time. If you're a remote business, you know, as many of us are, you know, we're both sat in our home offices now, doing this. A lot of businesses up and down the country are doing the same. And what I hear a lot at meetings and events is that when you're hiring into your business, into your recruitment business, you've got to have these new hires who are a bit green and new to recruitment, coming in at, you know, a low level, trainees. But you can't do it remotely. You cannot do that training session remotely because there's so much to learn. You just need to be amongst other people doing that job to pick up that knowledge. So it's really key to get these people in, and that causes logistical problems in itself. You know, if you don't have the team in the office full time, it's hard to sort of make that work, but it's so important in the long run.
I think we highlighted that on the staff retention and training on that last webinar we did. I mean, if you review the last webinar, which is about growing your business, that was a very key point.
Which another really good Howard from Jump Advisory, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Another really good session that I attended was it was a legal session. By Reclaw, and you know, it's all about getting paid, etc., which obviously, as we're a funder and back office supplier, I thought I'd better fresh up that you can, you know, can always learn new things, and I did. I mean, basically, again, it comes down to compliance. Are your contracts correct? Have you just copied someone else's that were also wrong? I'll leave that one hanging for you. Do you need to review them?
Yeah.
But then, interestingly, and this really resonated with me, we get it on the temp side and on the permanent side when we're funding them, where, you know, someone says, oh well, you know, it gets up to you know, you've had the hiring manager. The hiring manager says yeah, you know, and you supply the staff. You then start dealing with the accounts payable department. They're saying, oh well, I don't know whether it was correctly signed off, etc. Right? And then someone in the chain start to try and wriggle out of paying or altering the price, etc. And there's one really good tip by the guy that was running it from Reclaw. And he said, always engage with that client and say, well, we're willing to renegotiate. So as soon as they start to say that they're willing to renegotiate, they've actually implied that actually they had agreed a contract in the first place.
Right.
Because if you're going to renegotiate, you renegotiate an agreement, not I'm going to sign an agreement. And that stood up in court in quite a few times where people have said, you know, no, you did place the order with us, is due and payable, because actually you were saying you were willing to renegotiate it. So the very fact is you'd actually accepted the terms in the first place, even though you say you don't think you had. So, you know, and actually just put hyperlinks on your emails through to your terms and conditions, because 9 times out of 10, the argument starts with the powers that be. They say, well, let's see all the signed documentation, and you know, it may have been missed. So that's one way you can cover yourself and get yourself paid. I thought that was a really, really smart tip, and something I'd never have thought about.
It's all about the audit trail, isn't it? And you know, we're you know, very, very hot on that sort of thing from a finance perspective. Obviously, there's a lot of risk involved. So yeah, making sure you're covering yourself and that audit trail is important. It just shows these little sort of nuggets of information that you pick up at events like that. That's what it's all about, isn't it, Mike? You know, you go to these events so you can hear experts in their field talking about the sort of things that you wouldn't even think to ask about. And yeah, it's always worth it. looking forward to it next year, to be honest.
And the other hot topic that I went to, because I try to keep up to speed with the market, obviously, there was a session run on AI and especially ChatGTP. Mind blowing, 20-minute session, and a lady used ChatGTP to write an advert and a LinkedIn blog and a jobs board advert for a specialist IT recruiter in some form of software. And basically, she wrote. It was really good. I mean, it plagiarizes the net to put it all together. But you can even do the tone of voice. You say, look, I'd like to have a bit of a fun element on it, etc. And so the efficiencies that you can gain on your recruiters and your work methods will be a here and now. And actually, ChatGTP, I mean, some people said you could have done that anyway with various bits of software, but actually ChatGTP makes it absolutely free.
Not as easily and quickly. And people are talking about this as if it's coming, but it's not. It's here, isn't it?
It is.
The best recruiters are going to be using it today to get ahead.
And so everyone's going to be really, really good. So the standards should come up. But the interesting thing was said, so okay, the question you can ask is it the death of the recruiter? And I like this one. So the lady that was presenting said, let's put it like this. He said, if you wrote a blog or wrote a list or a description of your perfect partner in life, take a look at the person you're partnered with at the moment, and I suspect there's not a correct 100% match there, right? And she said, you know, and that's really where I see the role of the recruiter will never go away, because actually it needs that human interaction, you know, to make sure that you see past just what's on a written piece of paper. So, you know, again, it goes back in. They said, look, customers' habits will change. You know, everyone will produce much better stuff on their candidates, etc. But you're still going to need to persuade people to go to interview. People need to meet people, etc., etc. So that I found that one quite interesting as well.
Like you say, you're always going to need that human element, and thank God, because we'd be out of a job otherwise. You know, so selling is about, you know, it's 90% the human impact, I would say.
People buy people, sell the benefits, and people buy people.
Exactly. On that note, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back again, I'm sure, in the next couple of months or so. We'll put something together. We'll put it all out on LinkedIn. If there's any information you need on anything we've discussed, happy to have a chat. Just get in touch, and look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Cheers
now.